In 2005, there were two ways to sell a product on the internet. The first way was to sell it through a marketplace. At the time, like eBay was really the most prominent one. Amazon, I don't think at the time allowed for third-party sellers. It was still a first-party marketplace. So you had eBay and you had a bunch of these sort of very niche marketplaces, but eBay being the big one. So you could sell on a marketplace, or you would pay a company like IBM, they had WebSphere, or Oracle, or or SAP. All these big enterprise companies had some sort of e-commerce functionality for very large enterprises, for like
Yeah.
Walmart,
Yeah.
and that would be like a couple $1,000,000. And Toby did not like the idea of renting customers from a marketplace, and he did not like the idea of, well, he didn't have $1,000,000 to spend on enterprise software, so that was impossible. So he wrote this piece of software using Ruby on Rails, where he was a sort of core developer of Ruby on Rails in the early days with DHH and a bunch of really interesting people. And he wrote this piece of software to sell his snowboards. And that's around the time where I met him. He was like just selling these snowboards, and it was a really neat little business. He was making real money. And around that, and again, I'm in law school now, and so I'd asked him if I can use the software to sell my own products, which in my case would be T-shirts. And by that point, he had already sort of figured out that the snowboard business was a good idea, but the software that he had written to sell these snowboards was a great idea. I think those days are long over, and I think we were going through an entrepreneurial renaissance right now. And I think people like you and your community is leading the way in that front.
Well, I appreciate it. And I mean, everything that we do is just for everybody on the pod is, I know Harley and I agree on this, is to just try and break down as many barriers between where people are and where they want to be, right? A lot of people have this vision for their lives that they want, and there are things that get in their way. Some of them are between your ears, some of them are between your hands and a keyboard. And so Shopify has taken a lot of that between hands and keyboard out of the way to decrease the friction of actually getting a product launched, get it online, actually get customers, and you can do it from anywhere in the world, which is, again, something that 30 years ago just wasn't really a thing. And
Yeah.
now everyone can have access to this stuff. So I'm gonna kind of break this pod into three kind of sections loosely. So first kind of chunk, I want to talk about looking back, and I think that'll relate to a lot of people who are listening or watching right now. Kind of like zero to hero, like what got you to here, and all the things that come with that.
The second thing that was really important to us, I think, was that the product was super simple. And now companies like, I don't know, Mars or Mattel or Staples or Glossier, Aloe Yoga, Viewer, all these amazing brands, all you Shopify, Skims, like, and what's neat even today about Shopify is that the complexity of the product almost reveals itself over time. Rather
Mm.
than simply being inundated with every single feature and functionality, Shopify can be used by someone just setting up a store at their mom's kitchen table. It also can be used by Trina, who runs Figs, which is a publicly traded company. They make uniform scrubs, hospital scrubs, and the fact that the same code base can make those things was something that was always important. Keep it really, really simple. And credit to Toby and his sort of vision around product, because that's really what he drilled in all of us, was that the product has to be incredibly simple. So first is focus, second is simplicity, and the third one was we really tried to run a really tight business, meaning we knew what our sort of CAC to LTV ratio is, so cost of customer acquisition on
Like
one
a mile.
side versus lifetime value. And as long, I don't know if you're, I want to make sure I define all the acronyms.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot of
but
acronyms.
my audience.
Number two is, since 2021, there's been 15.5 million new business applications in the US, an 85% increase from 2004 to 2021. The White House put out a bunch of stats on this recently. I mean, that is the reason that is happening is not just because technology is getting better and not just because of great podcasts and content like you're putting out there. It's because people are realizing that entrepreneurship may be the vehicle for them to actually find their life's work, make their life better, create independence, like do the thing that they love most. This is a pretty exciting time for entrepreneurship, and I think the cost of failure thing is a big part of it.
So now you're employee number one, non-developer employee number one. You've used the product, you fell in love with it, and this is now aligned with your calling. So walk me through kind of the stages of growth, and I'll just, if you can give kind of like internal, external. So this is what was happening externally, maybe revenue levels, customer levels, things like that, and then mirrored. What does that look like internally? So I'm shifting a little bit towards my business owners right now. All right.